Good
All
morning,
right.
everyone. Yep.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, Susan.
No worries. Good morning, everybody. Carly and I are here with lowering floors and lifting ceilings, powering up digital literacy with online Microsoft certifications. So, some of you teachers may recognize this low floor, high ceiling phrase to describe the best classroom activities, where the floor is low enough that brand new learners can engage with the material successfully, but students who have been with us for a while don't run out of space to engage and challenge themselves and grow. This has been our focus since we started the MOS program at Metro East Career Pathways, lowering those floors to invite more digital literacy learners in while pushing those ceilings up and showing our students where they can take their certifications. So my name is Susan Seifert. I am the lead teacher for Metro East Career Pathways, a Microsoft Office Specialist certification program.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carly Voschel, and I am the program coordinator for this Microsoft Office Specialist program. And Susan works for Mounds View Public Schools. I work for North St. Paul Maplewood Oakdale Schools, also known as Harmony Adult Education. And together with Roseville, we are Metro East Career Pathways. So we're three public school districts working together. We're located in the Northeast Metro, and we're trying to kind of adopt that regional approach to career pathway work, just to kind of extend the reach that we have with students. And together, we are offering no-cost access to training programs and employment services for traditionally underserved populations. And our next slide has a little bit more information about who we are serving with our MOS or our Microsoft Office Specialist certification. So as an ABE site, we serve our local ABE, ELL students. And just within the last year, we've really been able to extend that reach into a correctional facility that is located within our consortium. It's Ramsey County Correctional Facility. And obviously there was a little bit of problem solving and adaptation to be able to share access with students in that setting, but we have found that it's working pretty well now. In the last 2 years, we have also been an online statewide class for Microsoft Office specialists. So Susan and I presented yesterday with the other online statewide classes. And so we are able to serve students throughout the state of Minnesota through this program. And then there's another little kind of niche population that we serve, and that is job seekers. And these are folks that are coming to us with a referral from their workforce counselor through Career Force. They want skills and they want them now, right? Because their ultimate goal is entering or re-entering the workforce. So kind of a diverse group of students overall, but there are some common barriers that we see across many of our students. One of them is no access or very limited access to technology over the course of their life. And then another area is looking specifically at the job experience that they've had. You know, maybe it was a job that really did not involve any digital navigation or digital literacy skills. Or maybe there was something very specific that they were able to do and they did it for years, and then they can't do that job anymore for various reasons. And they're lacking even skills to apply for a job, to interview online, to job seek online. This is a world that they've maybe never had to really interact with. And so that's a big challenge for them overall. And then, you know, what are the ways that we are serving these students? Our MOS program can be done 100% remote. That's how most of our students interact with us, which means that it's really flexible. Students can pick the days and the times that they're able to study, and that could be after work or on the weekends or any time of day. It's also very targeted to skilling up and skilling up in a short-term training format where you're not going to spend a year with us or 9 months with us. You're going to get in and earn those certifications and move on to additional training or the workforce. And the way we describe our program is called supported independent study, and we are going to be able to show you through the course of this presentation really what that looks like exactly. So here is kind of a typical pathway for our students. And I have kind of 3 main steps and then an exit point, but really this could be entrance or exit points for different types of students, right? But we're going to start here with step 1 with North Star digital literacy skills. And I won't talk about that too much because probably many of you on this call are very familiar with that. But we require 4 assessments before someone can be an MOS student with us. So they have to pass. It could be a proctored or an unproctored assessment for computer basics, internet basics, using email, and Word. That's so we know that this person has a very strong foundation, they know some vocabulary and key concepts, and they are proficient in those essential skills. Well, where does a student go after North Star? That's a question that I think a lot of us have had over, the past few years. And our program has kind of built in this step between North Star and Microsoft Office Specialists. And that's step 2 here. These are 3-hour virtual workshops. The topics are listed there. We work with students on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And for each of those software programs, there is an introduction, basic class, intermediate, and advanced. So students can take one, they can take more, but what happens in some of these classes is some participants realize, wow, there's some really powerful tools there that I didn't know about. Maybe nobody's ever, showed me, or I haven't tinkered with it enough to find it on my own. And they realize that, hey, I might be interested in earning that certification. And that's where step 3 comes in, our Microsoft Office Specialist certification. You're going to learn a lot more about that today, but then what happens after those MOS certifications are earned? Well, some students are going to plop those on their resume, add those digital badges to their online presence, and get themselves a job. Or some participants realize, like, hey, I'm actually really into this IT certification thing, and we can help refer them for a CompTIA class, a cybersecurity course. There's other options that exist for them to kind of build those stackable credentials.
Okay, and this is where I get to take over. So the most important thing, our ultimate goal is to get our students jobs. That is what they want this training for. And so is there a direct impact on employment from getting your Microsoft Office Specialist certification? So we went and we pulled a few numbers. Turns out that 91% of employers do consider certification when hiring. Um, Studies show that the top 5 requested job skills in job postings these days are all Microsoft, and Excel is actually number 1. Studies also show that there's been a 40% increase in job postings requesting MOS skills by name between 2019 and 2022. And this is important because our students are rejoining the workforce after a gap in employment, or maybe they're just beginning their career here in the US and they need to polish up maybe rusty skills or gain new skills that will set them apart from other candidates. The MOS is an industry recognized credential that can get their foot in the door of a career or a company that they're interested in. And it can provide the confidence that they need to kind of move into that additional IT training if that's what they decide to do. And then just to drive that point home, I went out, I just went to did a Google search on admin jobs near me. And from the very first page of results that showed up, I pulled all of these job descriptions, and every single one of them mentioned Microsoft skills by name. So getting that MOS certification is a great way to set yourself apart from the competition. Um, okay, so part of lowering the floors is keeping the technology simple. This is an online independent study, as Carly mentioned, which means that our students are required to kind of operate and problem solve without help on the internet. So we do make an effort to keep our technology streamlined so there aren't too many apps that they need to keep straight, accounts, passwords, all that stuff. We use three primary tools. Zoom is our primary communication tool. Canvas is our learner management system, and that houses our online classroom. And Gmetrics is a curriculum resource that provides skills videos and online labs. It's integrated seamlessly into our online classroom, which means that students will not have to download or log into that resource. It'll just be served to them automatically whenever they access a lesson or an assignment involving a Gmetrics resource. So in terms of using Zoom, Carly she kind of does our intake process, and she guides students through that process of downloading the app, creating an account, connecting with her as part of that intake. And this works as an informal assessment for us as instructors of a student's ability to operate, to navigate on the internet, to see how comfortable they are downloading apps, creating accounts. It's a really good litmus test for us to see if they have those kind of intangible skills that you need on the internet. Once students are on Zoom, we connect them immediately to their cohort of onboarders. And we use this onboarding channel to communicate the next steps, to provide Zoom links, etc. And again, this really does help us identify students who need more support navigating online. Onboarding happens via Zoom, of course, and then students are immediately added to some Zoom channels that we have that we use to provide daily announcements, workshop links, any other resources that our students might find helpful. They can ask for and receive support on that specific channel to their course. So we have a Word channel and a PowerPoint channel and an Excel channel. So those students can just talk to each other. They can get one-on-one support with an instructor or support admin who is with us that day. And then we also ask them to attend weekly learning circles, which I'll talk more about in a little bit. But let's go ahead and look at those Zoom channels that we have. So this is a quick peek at what one of our Zoom channels looks like. And for those of you who didn't know, Zoom has a really robust chat feature. You just go up to the top of the screen, highlighted here in that square, and you can see there's a team chat tab. Once you click that, you're kind of off that home page and you have access to this left-hand sidebar with all of these Zoom channels on it. So there's that team chat tab. And then over here on the left, you have all of these channels which we've created. You can see we have a chit chat channel. We've got one, and that is our all school communication channel. That's the one where we post our daily announcements. And this screen that you're seeing over here on the right is a good example of the kind of material that we post every day of the week. But you can see, sorry, there's an Excel channel, there's a PowerPoint channel, there's a Word channel. We have a staff channel that we use to talk internally among ourselves. So if you've only been using Zoom for video conferencing, you are missing out. You should check out their chit chat, their team chat tab. Okay, sorry, Carly, go ahead. I got distracted. So once students have completed their onboarding, they are free to move through our online classroom. So we have a three-step learning process here at Metro East Career Pathways. We start with watch, and students will just watch skills videos to see an expert introduce each new Microsoft skill that they'll be learning about in this lesson. Then they'll move on to the practice step, which involves online labs that allow them to get supported hands-on practice with each of these new skills. And then we move to the create step, in which a few times in each course, 3 times in our Word course, 2 in PowerPoint and Excel, students will pause and they'll complete a context project, it's called. And this is where they have the opportunity to apply those new skills to a real world business document, like a resume, a spreadsheet, a cover letter, a slideshow. So at the end of this presentation, there is a slide. If you download the PDF of this slideshow, at the very end of that slideshow, there is a resources slide, and it's got 5 or 6 links on it. The last 2 links are little videos that Carly and I created where you can see our students, what the process is like for them to move into our online classroom. watch a skills video, move into that online lab and do one of those hands-on guided exercises, and also to see what a context project looks like. So we don't have a lot of time today, so I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I did want you to know that if you're curious about the nitty-gritty of what our classroom looks like, excuse me, what that looks like, there are videos, maybe 10 or 15 minutes worth, to kind of give you a guided tour. But what I did want to say about the context project is our students start Word. The first context project in Word is just formatting a cover letter. Like they don't have to write it, they just need to format it. By the time they're done with Word, their third context projects are creating flyers that are like we call them a brag book or a graphic resume. And these three sheets that Carly just put up for us are actual student work that we've done. We anonymized them, so there's no name or information on these anymore, but they were able to use Word to create these really colorful, interesting graphic representations of themselves as employees that they can share at networking events or at job fairs or things like that. And so we're really proud of the work that they've done there. In terms of testing, so once the students have completed their coursework, they are eligible to take a certification exam. Unlike a lot of programs, Metro East Career Pathways does cover the cost of both the training and the testing. And we don't limit how many times our students can test. So it's not just like here, this is for all the marbles. If you test once and you don't make it, you can test again after some restudying. Um, the Microsoft certification, the MOS, Microsoft Office Specialist certification, is an industry recognized credential. So you get a cool certificate that looks like this one. It is created by Microsoft. It is delivered by Certiport. It's recognized around the world. We deliver the 365 version of the exam, which is the most current version of the certification, and we deliver it either in a remote or an in-person format. So whatever the student is able to achieve geographically or what's more convenient for them and their setup. Um, we focus on Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So you can see that we have the big three, we call them, the Word, PowerPoint, and the Excel. The associate level is that first certificate you can earn. If you earn all three, you get that associate designation, kind of the bigger one on the left there. Um, we do offer the Word and Excel expert level. There is no PowerPoint expert, but the Word and the Excel both also come in the expert level. If you achieve both of those along with the big three, you get this Microsoft certified expert badge that you can put on your LinkedIn, put on your resume, put in your email signature. And it is really impressive in terms of setting you apart from other people. And we have had students self-study their way to an Outlook and an Access certificate. We don't formally train those, but we have access to them, and we have some star students who just really wanted to achieve, and so that is also possible.
Hey, Susan, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but there was a question in the chat from Jason, and I'll go ahead and read it. How does the MOS compare to North Star certification? And I gave a very quick answer, but I don't want to dismiss it too much. And maybe you could speak more to it. I said MOS is much more technical, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the difference between MOS and North Star.
That is such a great question. Thank you. I think you said it was Jason. Thank you for asking that, bringing that up. I do run into this a lot because people are very familiar with North Star here in the North Star state. It is a homegrown program and it is widely used and it is excellent. But it does assess entry level basic digital literacy. When you start with the Microsoft Office Specialist program, I think Carly mentioned this earlier, we require our students as a prerequisite to pass 4 North Star exams. Computer basics. So we know that you know how to turn your computer on and off and how to do a few basic things. Internet basics. So we know that our students know how to navigate the internet and are comfortable there. Email, because we need to communicate with our students via email before we get them up on Zoom. And then Word, right? And Word is the entry level North Star certification for the Word program. And it really covers what the Microsoft Office Specialist certification exam would consider assumed knowledge. So there is a chunk of Word knowledge that the MOS test assumes you already know. They're not even going to include it in the curriculum. They're just going to assume your baseline. If you're signing up for certification, You're probably a user who has some experience, and they're just going to assume that you already know how to open and close a document, what the difference is between save and save as. You can intentionally name and locate a document. Um, they want to know that you know how to find and open Word on your machine. So all of the things that kind of fall under that heading of that Word um, assumed knowledge, big chunk of that is covered in the North Star Digital Literacy Assessment for Word. There are a few bits of overlap, like bulleted lists, maybe line spacing, maybe margin, some basic page setup stuff. But the Word test, the MOS test, goes beyond that. It goes into inserting and creating graphic elements like smart art or creating those cool flyers. It goes into paragraph versus line spacing. It goes into using styles versus style sets. There's just creating hyperlinks. And then using some of those collaboration tools like spell check and sharing documents, inserting comments, responding to comments, um, creating tables of contents, a lot of the nitty gritty that typically you wouldn't get into unless you're going to be your office's go-to person for Word. So it really does accelerate from there. So sorry, I know we only have a limited amount of time, but I get excited about that. So thank you for asking. And if you have other questions, want to know more about that, please feel free to ask me for the presentation. Okay, last thing that I want to talk about are the success factors, right? So this all sounds great, doing great, but we all know in adult education that enrollment isn't the sticking wicket, it's retention. How do we make sure that we get our students from the starting line all the way through certification? So we thought, I mean, we had some hunches about what factors were associated with student success, but we had never really tested our theories before. So we decided to pull and crunch some numbers. So we grabbed data from this school year, starting in September, and we finished, I think our data went through February. Um, and we just decided to pull the numbers and just wanted to see where we were. So with our data pool, just from the get-go, thing to know about the data that we pulled was we are only counting students in these statistics if they got from onboarding all the way through at least taking a test once. Because, students fall away for various reasons. But if they stuck with the program all the way through testing, that's that student population that we were measuring here. So in terms of what factors really are strongly correlated with success, the first thing is testing, right? So of our students who joined our program, as you can see, 84% of them earned at least one certificate, going all the way through up to our 3% who earned over 6 certificates. But just getting in there, getting all the way to testing was a huge factor in success. Second, we ask our students to dedicate at least 10 hours per week to studying for our program. And again, we didn't exactly pull that number out of a hat, but it just like the right number. So it was really gratifying to us to see that we were pretty much on the mark here. You can see that students who earned 0 certificates, who fell away from our program, were giving maybe 7-ish hours per week. But once you get into that magical 10.1, 10.6, 10.8, there you've got students who are hanging in there with us. They unlock the program and they figure out, and they're getting 2, 3, and 4 certificates. You can see our students on the high end there. If they're treating this like a part-time job and they are throwing 20 some hours per week at the program, those are our superstars who are earning 5, 6 plus certificates. So that 10 hours per week really matters. Um, Learning circles. I said I would talk a little bit more about this later on. And so we offer learning circles 3 times a week, 8 a.m. on Mondays, at noon on Tuesdays, and at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, trying to find something for every schedule, right? The early birds, the lunch hour crew, evening folks. We ask our students to attend once per week. So if they have perfect attendance, they get to a learning circle every week. Their learning circle score on this sheet would be a 1.0. If they get to 2 learning circles a month, right? Every other week, maybe their score would be a 0.5. So that's how to interpret this chart. So if you are in that, you're not perfect, you're doing your best, you get to about 3 learning circles per week on average, you can see that those folks are earning those 1, 2, and 3 certificates. If you move up a little bit higher, you're attending, your score is 0.8, 0.9, you're really like doing your best and you're getting there most weeks, those are our students who are earning the most certificates. You can see that the students who are on the 0.5 end, those are the folks who tend to fall away from the program before they earn their certificate. So that learning circles, connecting with your learning community, being part of that accountability where you show up every week and you tell us, so this is part of the learning circle. Our students are required to do what we call a student stand up, which is where they tell us their name, what they're studying, and then we call it the 3 A's. What did you accomplish last week? What is ahead for you in this coming week? And then the third A is assistance. Is there anything that we can do for you while we're all here together? So coming back to your learning community, touching base with those folks once a week, knowing that you'll have to tell them what you've been up to, ask for help, help other people, can't be overstated how important that engagement with their learning community ends up being. So learning circles. And then the final one, and this one was something that I didn't, this was just a gift from the data. I didn't see this one coming, but now that I know about it, I see it everywhere. Days to the first test. So we tell our students that a certificate, say Word, let's use it as our example, takes between 6 to 8 weeks on average. There are 6 domains or units. You figure 1 unit a week, and then 2 weeks at the end for testing, studying, retesting, restudying, right? About 6 to 8 weeks, which is like what, 42 to 56, 64 days, something like 56 days, somewhere in there. Um, when I looked at the data, I could see that the students who were at the top end of that, at the 54, 56 day mark for their first test, those were the students who maybe earned 1 certificate before they left us or earned no certificates. They took the test, they got discouraged, they fell away. But as that number comes down, as students are testing earlier, we've got your 2 or more certificates at 45 days, closer to that 6 week mark, 40 days. You get down to those 4 certificates, 5 certificates, 6 certificates. We're talking like 2 to 3 weeks before they swung for that first test. Um, so what this tells us is if we can communicate to our students that the test is not the end of the program, test is just another lesson, right? It is a way for you to find out where the goalposts are. And the quicker you know what the test is going to look like and feel like, the more effectively you can study, the more effectively you're going to use your time. And adult learners are short on time. They are trying to cram in so much to their lives. Um, so taking that test early, you probably aren't going to pass it. But if you can um, reorient the test in your head so that experience means it's a lesson. I know now what I need to know. And then you can go back and you can target your time and your effort and you can study. The folks who take the tests earlier have that knowledge quicker, they study more effectively, they get they get successful earlier, and that gives them that momentum that they need to continue on. So days to the first test, from the day that you did your onboarding to the day you take that first test, smaller the number, the more successful you will be. Now, correlation is not causation. I know that, but it does make a lot of sense. So, in summary, we have 3 things. Tend to those learning circles, engage with that learning community, give us that 10 hours per week. You can do more, it's going to be better, but at bare minimum, if you can squeeze out 10 hours per week, that'll be helpful. And then test early, test often. So those are the 3 factors that really add up to success for our adult learners. And I think this is where I hand it back to you, Carly.
Yep, I'm going to find my audio and video. Here I am. Okay. So obviously certification is a very important goal for our students, but um, I wanted to share kind of like in their words, what are they getting out of this MOS program? And so I won't read the whole thing, but I can kind of share a little bit about this student. I've removed their name, but they had 160 hours in the program. They earned several Office 365 certifications in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. They're talking about working on these certifications to get on a resume and kind of take that next step as they enter the job market. And that they were like communicating this program to their employer so that they can maybe move up at work or be recognized for these skills that they've earned. And here's another student that shared about the MOS program, just that they were able to fit it in with their busy schedule. This student in particular, you know, kind of I think of her as being similar to many students. She's got small kids at home. So she was like studying at night after bedtime. We had to work with her on scheduling the testing so that her mom would come over and watch the kids and she would come in person to test. I know that as a mom, like if I'm trying to take a test and my kids are right there asking for snacks, that's not going to be the best situation. But really more than like the skills that she earned, she was able to just realize that she's very capable of these skills and it was hard and she got through it and how rewarding it was for her. And she earned many certifications with us. And then this last one is an ELL learner that I know from Harmony, and she takes online English classes and also started with our program when we were working on the 2019 certifications, which was, you know, about a year ago. And so she earned many certifications in 2019. And then when we transitioned to the new test, which is Office 365, she continued and she has earned, I think, 6 or 7 certifications with us. And there were times in the first couple months where she was a student that I honestly thought she would never earn a certificate. She's somebody who had to take the test many, many times. And then it's like once she passed her first word assessment, something like clicked and she was able to just really work through it. So she is probably one of the data outliers that, you know, Susan mentioned. She didn't get to her first test very quickly, but she overcame a lot to earn these certifications with us. So we're very proud of our student achievements, the certifications, and just other things that they're earning with us, like confidence and proficiency. I'm looking at the chat, and Susan has answered a few questions. I'm seeing a question. When a student passes a certification, do you share that info with the referring program so we can enter it in SID? Yes. We are working on getting our students or, you know, online statewide students to be the ones that are sharing that information. And so it's kind of an imperfect system right now, but hopefully next week I'll be able to share the process for students and how to share their certifications. And the reason why I want students to do this is because I want them to be able to share it with an employer one day or share one of these certifications or multiple certifications with a college or university so that they can earn college credits. Each of the MOS 365 certifications can earn them 1 to 3 college credits if they are able to share that information. And it's an app or a website called Credly that works with Microsoft to be able to share these digital badges and official transcripts. So in the past, it's been more like, oh, take a picture of your certificate and share it to somebody. But we do want to share with students how to do this the official way so that they're able to do that with their home ABE program and with employers and colleges in the future. And
Carly, I don't know if you were able to see this one. Somebody asked about the process that the home program uses for counting hours in SID. I don't know if you want to address process.
sure. I mean, in general, I have a Google folder that I add, sometimes it's the intake person, sometimes it's usually not a teacher at the ABE site, but whoever is going to be entering data into SID, that person will get added onto a Google folder. And then I am the one that posts attendance hours once a month. There's 3 different ways that we track attendance in the MOS program. One is proxy hours with our teacher created distance learning approved platform. That's like the Canvas and the Gmetrics. We also have those learning circles or one-on-one Zoom meetings. So that's a synchronous class. And then there's one other thing. Oh my gosh. Maybe it's just the 2 things, actually. I'm thinking about Parapro. There's just 2 types of classes that you have to have. And in that Google folder is like screenshots of how you would set that up in SID. So that should answer any questions people have about what to mark everything, what are the hours, what are the dates. The proxy hours, for instance, can just be entered weekly or even monthly. And then it is the responsibility of the referring agency to make sure that that a post test happens when it should. And yeah, I hope that gives you a little bit more information.
Excellent. I'm seeing a few other questions here that I wondered about. In the chat, Jason asks about, can I sign up or send my staff to you to get MOS certified? And I just answered that, and we love it when people send us their teachers or their staff members to get certified because we love to work with other teachers, first of all. But if that program then continues to refer students to us, then they have a staff member on site for them that can be such a great resource to them when they run into a problem and maybe they can't get me or Carly right away. There's someone right there who's like, oh, right, lesson 2, lab 3. I know exactly what that is. So it's super helpful and we love that. There was one though that was in here that I wanted to call out. Kimberly asked, when they pass, is it considered a measurable skills gain? And the answer is a little complicated. I put it in the chat, but we are, in order for a program like ours to a certification to count as a measurable skills gain, we need to be certified as an IET, an integrated education and training program. We are in the process of applying for that over these next few months. So Carly, you can fact check me on this, but once we do get certified as an IET, I believe that yes, the MOS certification will count as a measurable skills gain.
Yeah, and that's been something we've like kind of had on our mind as an online statewide program. Like, how amazing would that be for it to be an approved IET program? And the piece that, obviously is a little bit tricky with a statewide program is that employer partner. But Susan has had a few meetings with the state of Minnesota and working on kind of that entry level job that really utilizes the skills that our students are working on, the online platforms, Microsoft, and how valuable that is. And so I'm super excited. I want to share more, but it's maybe not quite ready. We have a meeting, I think, like in the next week or two with the person from the state of Minnesota who we're working with. So, the idea of helping students all over the state get a good job like that is super exciting. And then it would be great to share with ABE programs to have access to additional measurable skill gains. So,
Excellent. Okay, looks like we're having a couple of versions of the same question, so I will
okay.
try to kind of combine. But we have you ever had teachers or staff take the course along with how do I get certified? Can I send you my staff members? So it sounds like there is some interest in getting um, teachers training other teachers. So absolutely, if you want to sign up your staff or you want to refer students right away, we do have, and I'm not sure where the link is. to our interest form. Oh, you know what? It's on no, is it on the hand of the virtual workshop handout? I don't think it
Yeah,
is.
I think one of the links that Wendy would have shared earlier, um,
Yeah. Let
or
me
you
go back
can
up and take a look.
email Susan or I.
Yes, absolutely. You have all of our email addresses. You can get in touch, but that the MOS online statewide course information, that link, and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it again so that it's brand new right down there at the bottom. Oh, Wendy's beat me to it. She is so
Oh,
good.
thank you all.
Um, There is a flyer that has all of our onboarding dates on it. We onboard new cohorts of students at the end of each month on Wednesday afternoons between 1 and 4 on Zoom. So there is never a need for our students to come into our building. They can do everything remotely. So the onboarding takes place on Wednesday afternoons toward the end of the month. The flyer has the dates on it, 1 to 4 p.m. on Zoom. So if you are interested in joining one of those cohorts, we would advise you to get in touch with us probably toward the beginning of the month because there are a few hoops you need to jump through, right? We have to get that Zoom downloaded. We have to get you through those North Star digital literacy um, certificates. So having a little extra time is helpful. But at the end of every month, we bring on new students, teachers, students, whoever. Please feel free to use that link and join us. Let's see. Keith says, are you opening this up to non-ELLers? Yes, we serve ABE students, GED students, English language learners. We serve job seekers who are not associated with an adult education program. Yeah, we cast a wide net. Carly, do you want to say anything to that?
Yeah, and anyone who's eligible to be served in ABE can be like earning contact hours, and maybe, somebody who's like a teacher at a education site, what what we would want to do is have them earn the certification so that they can share and be an expert and spread the word. So those, probably wouldn't be contact hours because they're probably not eligible for ABE. But getting them through, having them see the modules, and I love that idea because I know that I can be a better salesperson if I've seen the product and have gotten something out of it. And I can say that I have because I have a couple of my certifications. And I just actually went through the Excel curriculum this summer. It's always been something like I'm going to get around to it, and I finally did. And so if any of these programs are things that you've used for years, and that was my experience, and like I kind of know what I'm doing with Excel, or I'm pretty good with Word, you go through the curriculum and you find the most efficient tools, the quickest and the easiest, and instead of clicking 6 times to do something, you're clicking once, and you can be that much more efficient at your job, and you have the confidence, you know the terms, you know where to go, and it makes it easier to teach other people to do those things when you're using the right terms. So that's really like that intangible thing that you get with a certification, and I can attest to that from my experience. So I think we're kind of just about out of time, but you have the resources so you can follow up with Susan or I. And just thank you for being here and sharing your questions in the chat. And have a great rest of your Summer Institute conference.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Do you want to end the
Don't forget
recording?
their contact information is on your Sketch app and probably on the flyers as well. Great job, Susan and Carly. I've learned so much. I can't wait to sign up for one of your classes. Excel has been one of those things that my wife
Mm-hmm.
runs a giant company off of Excel, and I need to ask her help for things all the time. So she'll appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For sure. My husband sells like software to organize large companies, same kind of thing. And he says right up until people need like $1 million solution, they're using Excel because
Yeah.
it's that big and that powerful. There's a lot you can do with it. But don't be scared. Super fun.
Yeah.
Win class.
Well, and I've been playing with, there's a software called Glide, which
Okay.
turns spreadsheets into websites.
Okay, I'm writing that down.
The Glide app. And I started building, I'd found this handbook of the streets for homeless
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah.
I started putting it together into an app where it could use geolocation, so you could tag where you're at, and then they would show you what's around there. I never finished it, but
Wendy made a note to end the recording.
oh, sorry.
Right.
That's okay.
Now we're just chatting.
We'll do a little cut down.
Yeah.